Shizu,
using the
sorry to interrupt,
guidance.
but I'll get started. It's because chat has been waiting long enough. Okay, hey chat, what's up? I'm just gonna set up the background music for the stream, and we will wait to see if anyone else shows up, and we'll just get right into it, because I don't want to keep you all waiting anymore. Now, the reason I'm doing this stream is because it's my second channel anniversary, so it's a pretty big deal to me, and I wanted to just do a Fnaf debate with some theorists, I know. So I thought it would be cool to just organize a little stream and do that. Just
Say
just
happy
have a little bit of fun.
anniversary, chat.
Yeah, everyone spam Green Afton or whatever. Green Afton or 14 or
Green
whatever.
Afton.
Whatever the
Green Afton lives.
Okay. I think we're fine to start with 4. I think some more people will join over time. Draz said he would join. T-Dreads might join. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Oh gosh, if we get T-Dreads in here, it's just gonna be all God victim.
It's fine.
God, David.
God, David.
God, David.
Okay. So I didn't really plan any questions or anything, so I'll just wing it. My first question for all of you is the FNAF lore solvable? It's the title question.
Okay, bigger question. Do you mean as a whole, or are you referring to certain chunks of the FNAF lore?
As a whole. Like, can you piece together a fully correct timeline using the information we have?
I would say, as of Secret of the Mimic before the DLC, we cannot fully solve the series because there is still a large gap missing covering the Mexis machine and how it was set up, as well as eventually what will end up happening with Cassie and all our protagonists in the future. If we're covering everything from like 6 and before, I genuinely think with Fazbear Frights and a lot of like notes from the modern series, you most certainly can solve everything within the original series. Really easy.
See, I would have said that you could solve the original series without the Steel Wool series itself, just by itself, until Secret of the Mimic came out, because a lot of stuff in Secret of the Mimic does recontextualize the original series, because it's a prequel. Naturally, it would, because now we have David's bedroom looking like the experiment room, and there's the stuff about Afton and potentially Henry. And how the thing about Secret of the Mimic is that it lays groundwork for a bunch of things in the future, possibly like Stan's budget tech was like one of the things, even smaller things too. So, and like there's posters for Candy Cadet and Mystic Hippo, and it's like, did those come from Edwin?
Mm-hmm,
so,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a straightforward narrative in the game. Secret of the Mimic by itself is not like a really complicated narrative, but it becomes complicated when you pair it up with the original series, because then you have to start thinking about, okay, how does this change those games now? Like, how does this change how we look at those games now?
I agree.
I completely agree.
I think Secret of the Mimic helped a lot, because I think it kind of established the idea that the FNAF lore can be changed retroactively without retcons. Like, there's not a single retcon in this game, I think. Like, sure, there's like, oh, Henry didn't make the animatronics, but it's not confirmed he did.
Well, I think he did.
He did.
I think he did.
He definitely did.
I think he did, because FNAF 6 definitely, I feel like the FNAF 6 he definitely implied that he did. Like, he says, because in the Insanity ending speech, he talks about souls trapped in, I think it was like vessels of my creation or something like that. Those aren't the exact words, but I know he said something like that.
Yeah, small souls trapped in prisons of my making.
Yeah, but So the thing about it is, I think with this game, it's like a lot of people, like you said, like it's not a retcon. It's sort of this. It's not exactly a retcon because it's not technically retconning information. Because I feel like anybody who says this game retcons a lot, they're just not realizing that all it does is just establish information that we didn't know. Because technically, I feel like a lot of what people like took as established lore facts weren't actually just confirmed. It's just that was the consensus, and now that this game could change some of that, it's like now it's a retcon. It's like, no, you just didn't know the whole story. Scott decided that this is the way he wanted it to be established. So I think it's just like it doesn't involve like just like obviously he didn't think about the mimic when he was making Sister Location or something like that. But the idea was that like he can still retroactively tie the mimic story and Edwin and into the backstory of Phasma Entertainment, and it really doesn't affect anything because that was never touched on before. And the only really thoughts we had about that were, I would say, speculative at best, or based on other information from other media. So, yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think that the story of the original 6 games, let's say 7, because I'll include FNAF World, UCN, yeah, and UCN, so 8.
Although there would be people that argue, you know, the one you should not have killed question, but is it really that important?
No, it's not.
Realistically, the one you should not have killed. So unless like Frights was canon, the one you should not have killed genuinely doesn't matter to the story beyond the Ultimate Custom Night, in my opinion.
I think the reason people
that's when it's
I think the reason people cared so much about Toyshink is that it was a way of making the book debate not about the books and more about the character. It's still the book debate. Like the debate around the one you should not have killed has just always been the book debate in a different costume. So
it really has, because Andrew's involvement dictated whether or not Fat Frights was in the timeline for most people. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that was kind of just a shell for the book debate to spread. Honestly, I think that's completely irrelevant now with Secret of the Mimic. I think that the books are cooked. People are still saying that Tales games is possible, which, like, come on, stop coping.
Yes, they are. It's weird because we gotta recognize that Five Nights at Freddy's is meant to be a coherent story. People should be able to understand what's going on, and it feels like hiding an answer for a build-up within inside of a completely new medium feels strange.
I mean,
I think it's here's the thing. I think it's a smart choice ultimately, despite how like the pieces sometimes would fit together really well with the books. But Secret of the Mimic changing that, honestly, and I was a book believer myself. I was like total Stitch guy in games, Tales games a lot. But even I recognize like it's probably better if it's not, just because of here's the thing, like so much, mind you, both Tales and Frights were several books long, with each book contained like 3 different stories plus the overarching narrative that would happen in the stingers at the end of each book, and those tied into other stuff, and that's so much like core information that's shoved into these anthology series, and without reading them you're totally lost. You know what I mean? Like in the context of like Frights games or Stitchline games, like you the only way you know what happens to William Afton after Ultimate Custom Night is if you read those books, and the only way you would have known what happens like where the mimic comes from is if you read those books. So I think separating is better that way, because not everybody wants to read like 50 anthology stories just so they can recognize the game lore. Like it should be, I think it should, you should be able to solve the game lore with the games that's been provided. And I think that's why Secret of the Mimic was kind of a necessity, and why it's probably best the books debate kind of got shafted. Because at that point, because remember, the reason Scott even made the books, he made the Silver Eyes books, well, he said something, this always sticks with me, is that he said sometimes the story gets too bloated. And I feel like adding all that extra baggage of Frights and of Tales, it does become too bloated, to the point where it's like, it's so much core information that gets lost in a bunch of these anthology stories that majority of the audience doesn't even read. So like they're relying on theorists to read them and explain them. So I think it was probably the better decision, but that's just me.
I think that what they did was the right thing. While I was Tales games and Stitchline, I'm still like Stitchline is possible. I think it's just going to be Mega Cat Studios that made Into the Pit is going to alter Stitch line into their video games. They'll probably make like a small saga of Frights games, maybe like a trilogy. It would be like Into the Pit, the Stitch Wraith game, and something else. So they'd make like a trilogy or a quadrilogy or whatever, and that would be kind of their saga. I think that saga is going to adapt Frights, and while Steelwool's new saga with the Mimic is adapting Tales. So I think that they're functionally just rewriting those books into the games and making it so that casual fans don't have to read the 50 anthology stories, like you said. While I think it would have been cool to have Tales games and Stitchline, it's probably the right move from a community building point of view to make it games only and have the books provide teasers as to what's coming in the future. So, in that sense, I agree with you completely.
What have I missed?
We were talking about the books, because
Welcome,
of course we
Drazers.
were. Hey,
Hi,
Draz.
It's a
Draz.
dangerous area to have
Draz. Speak about.
I would agree. I think that the whole point is, I don't remember who mentioned it specifically, but kind of like the belief that Frights and Tales were like drafts, ideas that Scott was considering and thinking about while making FNAF, and wanted to test drive it and see if any of those concepts would work. And when he saw the ones he liked, he started introducing them into the game's timeline because he wanted to expand upon them and felt that he could find a way to make them work in the games.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, because I could.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, sorry, you go ahead.
No,
you
no,
go
no.
ahead. It's okay.
I mean, I get it. I get why he'd do that. I think it's also a bit silly of him to have written all those stories, to just end up scrapping them down the line. I don't know what his original intent was, because the way he introduced Frights was very like, oh yeah, this is important, and you need to look at it really, really close. He's like, some of these stories are tied directly to the games, some aren't. So it's as if he was telling us, oh yeah, these do matter. I don't know if he changed his mind or if it was just always planned.
I don't think
I
there
don't
was
think he
less.
changed his mind.
It's
I
depending
don't
on
think.
the wording.
I just think people went into the books with a wrong mindset. At least if you were thinking like these had to be one-to-one to the games. Because at least for me as a person who does believe the fiction theories, is that it felt reliable, as in these books give you a lot of information because they exist within the universe. They give you a lot of information that exists in the world. It's just not the literal events as they happen. You're reading fictional tellings based on real things, but because they exist in the games, it gives you reliable information for the games.
Yeah.
For me, it's this. I think Scott actually did something. He didn't communicate it super well because of how vague he was with some of the original statements. But I think I get what he was trying to go for. Because the thing about the Frights and Tales timeline, which I can think they're both the same timeline because I don't think they would be not the same. But the thing about both those timelines, I'll probably make a video about this down the line, but the Frights and Tales timelines are extreme. Most of the events are extremely similar, and they happen in a way. Like they're the Frights and Tales timelines are the closest timelines to the games in terms of
Yeah.
like other media. And there's the movies, but even those take some broad strokes. They Fright a lot of because majority of events that happen in the games also happened in Frights and in Tales, etc.
Mhm.
So I think the whole point was that, yeah, he did directly connect these narratives to the games, and he did that by making the timelines extremely similar and adding, oh, these events happened similarly to how these events happen here, to the point where it's like they're kind of the same timeline, but they're not like directly in the same continuity of each other. But they're so similar that it's like, oh, you can glean this from this timeline because it's almost identical, and so on and so forth. I think that's kind of what he was going for.
I think that's one of the reasons why people created the concept of things like split line, because it's essentially just, we're looking at a world that is just slightly altered from the one we are seeing in the games, whereas the events inside the movie and inside of the Silver Eyes, it's supposed to be a reimagining. It'll reuse characters and concepts, but Frights and Tales is a really close parallel universe that's supposed to show kind of like a what if this situation happened this way instead.
Yeah, I think the best way I've heard Tales and Frights described is it's genuinely the game timeline, but what if Afton killed Andrew, and what if Edwin didn't inherit the company from his dad? It's a very simplified and kind of vague version of it, but I feel like that kind of encapsulates it the best, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't think it's exactly that, but I think it's broadly like effectively what ifs the timeline in just Goosebumps stories effectively.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's more kind of Scott used those books to lay out the groundwork of his story and then elaborated on that groundwork with the games. By the way, on the subject, I want to branch out a little bit. Do we think the Into the Pit
Mhm.
game is game line or is it book line?
I know there are some answers here that are going to say no.
I think it's
Uh,
not game line, largely for all the reasons Unwitted Truth brought up, because they they went out of the way to remove things from the game that would make it more consistent with the games or tied to the games. They went out of their way to do that, and it contradicts the games just as much, if not more, than the original story.
yeah, I don't think I personally, as right now, I don't think the End of the Pit game is canon. I think it should have been. I think if like they were going to adapt it into canon, that was the way to do it because it's a game. I don't think it is because it just of how Into the Pit does change things in the original story, but it stays pretty close to the original stories. Like the overall story stays pretty much the same. Now, if you wanted to ask me if there is a version of Into the Pit that could be canon, my best bet would probably say Return to the Pit. I know people hate Return to the Pit because it's a really goofy book, but
Yeah.
it does go. It is the version of the Into the Pit story that I feel like goes out of its way to be like the most feasibly canon because of it just the way it presents the MCI and the way it matches up a lot more with like, oh, there's 5 kids now instead of 6, and it's in a back room instead of a party room, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's called a retelling, and it's in the same book series as the week before. So if I had to bet my money on it, I'd say that one, but it's uncertain right now.
By the
I don't
way,
really know.
hi, she's always nervous. So nervous is
Oh my gosh,
join the
nervous.
stream.
Hi, nervous.
Welcome.
Hi.
Chat, say hi, nervous.
I popped it in the middle of a sentence and I was like, "Oh, we'll be quiet."
you were
I'm so
ominously
sorry.
quiet.
You walked in on
No.
us ranting.
Do not apologize. I was just like, "Well, this is awkward."
Yeah.
We were talking about Into the Pit and the books in general.
Got you.
We were just talking about if the Into the Pit game is canon. I'm mixed. I have a personal hatred towards Return to the Pit, and that's why I haven't accepted that it
It's
might be
understandable.
canon.
Let go of the hatred. Hatred.
I'm
I
still
am
coping,
mixed
okay? It's been
due
8 months.
to-
It's been 8 months, I'm still coping.
It's the equivalent of us
It's not even
trying to
bad.
solve the modern era using help wanted alone because we only have one game, and while there are some contradictions within that one game, we don't know whether or not those contradictions will somehow be resolved or altered via the second game, and we just don't have enough information about this series to determine it just yet.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my personal kind of explanation for some of the inconsistencies that Into the Pit might have stems more from this is a hallucination. My favorite way to describe the game is just Oswald is tripping balls, literally.
He is.
And
Yes, I do believe that, like in all iterations of Into the Pit, that Oswald is not actually physically time traveling.
Yeah.
The
I think
easiest way.
I think the
I-
game honestly gives the most evidence towards this whole thing genuinely being a warped memory. And I know like people throw that around and everyone it's kind of got like a negative thing attached to it because most people just would a lot of the time that would be used as an excuse. But I think in this game this game gives it the best evidence towards that idea because this game when Oswald goes into the pit literally and he's in the memory, but he's also like just going back and forth, back in between time, and you start to see things mixing in because here's the thing, part of this game's lore is in the pit game is that Afton Springlock spring locking is like part of like when Spring Bonnie starts haunting Oswald. It's when he is able to hear Afton spring lock over the phone.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that shows that event is also tied. The agony from that event is also tied to the pit itself, because the yellow rabbit in Into the Pit by itself, it seems like it's connected to William Afton being spring locked, in my opinion, because of just the way he acts. He says, "I always come back." He also says, "I will make you suffer just like I did," which implies that to me that strikes me as, oh, that's like after William suffered at the hands of the children. Some of the loading screens in Into the Pit too, like they kind of point to like this creature having a connection to Afton and him being spring locked, because it said like the loading screens will sometimes say, "I always come back." Like FNAF 3, "I'm still
Mhm.
here." There's also one line that really sticks out to me. That's like, it seems like it's from the Yellow Rabbit and it's aimed at the missing children, which is, "All of you will pay."
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this shows like there's more here than just the memory of the MCI. It's like the events that are taking place in this building are mixing in, and it's like all coming into like this massive conglomerate of this pain and this suffering and this echoing memory of what happened.
There's
That's
two
just
things
me.
there. It's one, I will make you pay makes it sound like bro was like on a revenge arc. It's like,
Yeah.
but you did something to me. But the other is, I think the game points more to time travel, because if see, all that's valid, things you do in the past do change the future, and it's very similar. I think also in Return to the Pit, things you do in the past literally change the environment. Which, if it's just a warped memory, you're in a memory, changing the memory is not going to break the door in the present, because what you're experiencing is not a truly real thing. You're experiencing something in the past that, at least in the game, cannot truly be undone. Right? That
I would
event
argue
has set in.
I would argue that it does, but I want to let someone else speak, so I'll speak afterwards.
I just wanted to say, I think that it's not time travel because all this stuff happens exclusively in Jeff's. Jeff's is the only place that is directly affected by the time travel, because Jeff's is just essentially an agony capsule. Jeff's is Freddy's, and Freddy's is where all the bad stuff happened. So all that pain and whatever is contained in Freddy's and what becomes Jeff's Pizza later on. Another thing I want to say is, if Into the Pit isn't game line, I've had the idea that one of Pit Bonnie's lines in the game is, "I will make you suffer just like I did." So this is similar to is this a line from Springtrap in Dead by Daylight? It's from AR, I think. "I will make you suffer like so many others." I think that's one of his lines.
Yeah, it's one of his lines.
So it's similar, and I think that in the game's continuity, the book's continuity, which Into the Pit could fit in if it's not game line, Afton had a spring lock failure, but the spring lock failure happened in the ball pit, which explains the whole like bleeding consistently over the course of 30 years thing. Even though that's Larson, it parallels how Afton was bleeding in that ball pit for years and years and years. And so his corpse is down there somewhere during the events of the Citrus Stingers. Before the events of the Citrus Stingers, then he goes out, FNAF 3 happens, FNAF 6, and then Man in Room 1280. So
I will comment in the
that's my
book.
idea.
It says that the blood is from Eleanor.
The blood is from Eleanor and
Yeah,
Larson, though, isn't it? It's like Larson
No,
was,
he
was
does.
just looping.
He finds, basically, because it's connected to Eleanor visions, where he goes and takes the blood, and it connects its blood that comes from Eleanor that can be found at each of the incidents dating back decades, like all these various incidents you see in Fridays. So it's Eleanor's blood. She's been bleeding the ball pit for decades.
Okay. Yeah, I have to reread the Stingers,
So-
honestly.
Yeah. So yeah. But what I was gonna say about the whole thing, because you do bring up a good point about potential time travel with in the pit. Sometimes the things you do in the past can seemingly affect the present. So the interesting thing about that is, I think the biggest thing against it being genuine time travel has to be Pit Bonnie himself, because that's not William Afton. If it was genuine time travel, that would be the real William Afton, and that's clearly not him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do things from the when you change things in the ball pit? Because in the ball pit, Oswald is actively inside of a memory,
Mhm.
and it change it, and things being altered in the ball pit they get altered because Oswald or the Yellow Rabbit interacting with Oswald changes them. Now, so this goes into a little bit of stuff that is kind of concepts out that's not talked. They're kind of mentioned in FNAF, but they're also concepts that exist in real life. So the ball pit is a classic case of what in pseudoscience would be called residual haunting.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically it's when an event happens in the past, and when that event occurs, basically like the memory of that historical knowledge is basically like it attaches itself to an object. And that's really what happens with the ball pit. And so in my mind is like this. And but what happens, but when that happens, it actually residual haunting is when the memory of that experience, it basically repeats on loop constantly into the present day, but from when it happened until now. And so because that's like perpetuating from the energy of that event is, and the information from that event is perpetuating into the present because of the haunting. Now because Oswald is actively an active participant in that memory, and he is changing things. And the ball pit kind of affects the whole building, in my opinion, because like Withered said, this is just Freddy's, but the ball pit is like the center of it, and it kind of like affects the whole building. So when Oswald changes the paper pal in the past, he's an active participant of that memory now, so he is changing it. And so the residual haunting is now altering that part of the building and that thing, or the door breaking or whatever. That's becoming part of the present. Because now that loop is being altered and it's changing. And so now that memory is being, that's kind of like my explanation of the memory changing things in the actual pizzeria itself.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share my thought on like how it's not time travel, even though I know that it affects things outside of the game?
Brock, is that true?
Go for it.
I don't think Oswald gets out of the pit ever. Like when he thinks he's getting out of the pit, it's the same as like in the Tales from the Pizzaplex where they think they're taking off the simulation or whatever, but they are still actually in it. That's why when he goes home or when his quote unquote dad picks him up, he's still the yellow rabbit because he's not out of it. He's still in the agony ball pit. It's just adjusting to make him feel like he's not.
Yeah, I mean that ties into like Into the Pit being a loop, which I'm a strong proponent of, mainly because it helps me explain why Secret of the Mimic being a loop isn't entirely baseless. But
Fair enough. Anyway, that's my whole spiel.
No, I think even with I think that does definitely could pertain to a loop, especially with Oswald being like, you remember what happened last time if you try to get a specific ending again. But I think by itself, Nervous, even that, like your idea, like it can still work even if like Into the Pit isn't a loop. Like I still think that can work.
Oh sure, yeah. I just don't think he gets out.
No, I actually have think there's some evidence towards that. So here's the thing: when Oswald gets taken by the Yellow Rabbit and he goes back to his house, right? And in those night sections of Into the Pit where you are trying to evade the Yellow Rabbit and escape the house, some of the screaming that was inside Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in that memory, when the Yellow Rabbit was like killing the kids, you can actually hear it while you're inside the house. It'll just like play at random moments.
Yes.
Actually. I never thought about that. I mean,
yeah, that's actually I noticed that when I replayed it a couple months ago.
I should replay it for stuff like that. That's actually very interesting.
Wait, what plays?
So when you're in the house, so after the Yellow Rabbit starts basically haunting Oswald, so Oswald goes in the pit, the Yellow Rabbit chases him back out and takes his dad, and the Yellow Rabbit takes Oswald home. So before that happens, the Yellow Rabbit obviously killed the kids, and there's this specific like the screaming of like the children and the crowd and whatnot, and you can hear that when the Yellow Rabbit first kills the kids when Oswald's traveled back in time. Now, when the Yellow Rabbit takes you home at random later, I think it's early on or later in the game, at random points when you're in the home trying to escape and go back to the ball pit, you can still sometimes that screaming will just randomly start playing when you enter a room. It's not an accident; it's an intentional thing. Like you'll hear the screaming from the past while you're in Oswald's house.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that Pit Bonnie it's the residue of it's the agony residue of everything that happened in the NCI. It's like an imprint. I have this idea that I use, and I said this in the Secret of the Mimic loop, that tragedies create agony beings, and that's what Golden Freddy is, in a way, why Golden Freddy's so special compared to the others. That's what Pit Bonnie is, why he's all messed up and fleshy and whatever, and what the White Tiger from A Secret of the Mimic is, if Secret of the Mimic loop is true. And I think that the narrative of Pit Bonnie being this, like, dark shadow of something bad that happened is very compelling, and I think that RWQ, FSFA, SXC, and Shadow Freddy are also agony beings in a different way. So that's very interesting. I think that kind of backs up Pit Bonnie being what causes all this, what causes the hallucination and the time travel or whatever. But I suggest we move on from the books because
Yes.
I think it's a good time to. We've been talking about the books for like half an hour already, so it's time to move
Fnaf
on.
Theorists in their books.
Yep. By the way, Terry, and thanks for the 2. Let's. Okay, what should we talk
Subscribe
about?
everyone and like the stream 100%, guys. They know
Agreed.
what they're talking about.
And subscribe to all the people, all the guests on the stream as well. It would be very
Let's
cool.
talk about the most loved mystery in
Oh
FNAF.
no.
Midnight Motorist.
Of course, it's Midnight
Oh
Motorist.
no.
Yeah.
I have thoughts.
I hate
I
dreaded
love Midnight
Midnight
Motorist. I love Midnight Motorist. Okay.
I've started to become more accepting with the fact that I can understand basically every interpretation at this point. I don't think, other than like the fourth closet, or not the fourth closet, the Twisted Ones explanation, which is contradictory since that's not how the Twisted Ones work. I think I can understand the root of almost every single interpretation and think that they would work for the narrative that they're trying to tell.
Okay. So, does everyone... I know there's people who don't. Does everyone in the call agree that Midnight Motorist is about the Aftons? Let's start there.
No.
Jazzerus doesn't.
Yes, I do.
I was gonna say I know
Yeah.
Jazzerus doesn't because we've had that conversation.
Okay.
I don't have a reason to not, to move away from that. Like, if it isn't, then there's not enough evidence for me to move away from that.
Yeah, honestly...
I think the reasoning is quite simple. I feel like because it's blatantly obviously not to be, because they make them orange, that's pretty obvious. But the fact is that Midnight Motorist, and that's the point I always make, is that Midnight Motorist is the third required minigame out of 3 for the Lore Keeper ending. And the Lore Keeper ending is the secret ending of FNAF 6. It's the one where you have the gravestones of the missing kids, the murder kids. And 2/3 of those minigames are about a murdered victim of William Afton and Charlie and Susie. You have Charlie being presumably the first victim or an important victim, or Susie presumably the first child of the MCI. So the third one should just be just like the others, be a victim of William. And there's only 2 ways you can go down that route. One, it can be MCI MM, it can be Henry MM. You just have to be a victim of William, and most likely be the Golden Freddy kid. Or you can be Afton MM, but it would mean bite victim, or someone in that minigame, Michael, a bite victim, would have to be someone who's on the gravestone screen, which would inherently probably like BB Fifth, because bite victim would be the only kid who would have a gravestone under like Mike MM, or if bite victim's the player, he's the runaway. Just focus on him. So you either have to go MCI MM and be a Cassidy or a Gabriel, or go down bite victim fifth. Otherwise, you've an inconsistent minigame for no reason. Really.
By the way, I will say, like, even though I disagree now, I completely understand where you're coming from, because I want MCIMM to be true, and because I started off believing MCIMM. Green Afton is
MCIMM
very
is
strongly
so good.
MCIMM.
I loved
Afton
Gabriel.
lives.
Look,
I was a happier person back then.
I joke about
I
Green
became-
Afton, but I think that if Afton wasn't if we didn't have all that stuff from 5 Laps at Freddy's, Green Afton is unironically the most likely narrative, because it explains everything in that minigame except for the footprints. It explains everything. So everything in the minigame, including the mound, is explained except for the footprints. And even the footprints is likely like, oh yeah, Spring Bonnie walked over there, lured the kid, walked a little bit to Junior's, which explains why the rain didn't get to him before. He killed the kid, and either he brought the kid to Freddy's or he killed the kid in juniors, and that's like a secret victim or something. So Green Afton, I joke and we joke about Green Afton all the time and stuff, but it's unironically, in my opinion, a good explanation of what Midnight Motorist could be, if not for Five Laps at Freddy's. And now I have a different interpretation of what it is with Five Laps at Freddy's in mind.
I don't think 5 Laps of Freddy's necessarily confirms it, because for one, the description is the real seller, but the description is not in the game, and it's not even in an update in the game. So we don't know when if that's going to be there or if it's going to be changed. I think most things will still be there. I don't think the swing blind antenna is going to be removed. But all I think that does is connect William to the car, but I don't think that confirms he is the guy you're playing as in Midnight Motorist. I think there can be dynamics like he's using another person's car, he's using a company car, it can be really using Henry's car under certain circumstances, because we know he does use other cars. He went across state lines in the movie, used a black car, not a black car, it's a very dark blue. Used a blue car to kidnap Garrett. And if you believe Fnaf Force the Afton House, the only car that's like separate from all the others is the one that's parked like right in front of the Afton House, and it's blue. So I think it's completely reasonable that it's just a separate car.
Okay, so I do want to say, because I'm coping still, it's been almost a year, and I'm still so Green Afton turned 1 year old 8 days ago, which I forgot to celebrate. But
Yay!
happy birthday, Green Afton. But
They grow up so fast.
But I joke and so on, and how Green Afton is dead and stuff, but I don't think Green Afton is actually dead. Because
Hey folks,
oh, hey love, we were talking about Midnight Motorist.
I just came in here.
We hate this guy.
I just came here to say for a second, because I'm not a theorist, I don't want to interrupt you guys' stream. Congrats on your 2-year anniversary. Congrats on
Aw.
10K, and I hope you all have a good stream. I've got a short to edit. Good luck, everyone. I'll be watching from the sidelines. Bye bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
love.
love.
Bye. Very nice
That
of
was
you,
so
love.
sweet.
Love that guy.
Chat, say W love while I finish my Green Afton tangent. Anyway,
A loaf.
remember how Midnight Motorist kind of got debunked, and because of the description and the stuff in the game, and then Daco on his charity stream got a demo for 5 Laps at Freddy's, which showed a new poster teasing Secret of the Mimic, which was like, oh yeah, this is HUG, the new vacuum cleaner made by Edwin Murray, and it's Mr. Hugs, and he looks the same, and that's like the iconic vacuum cleaner from the books and so on, and everyone was like, oh, Tales games. And then Secret of the Mimic came along, and neither the Cleanovac nor the original vacuum cleaner that he theoretically made look anything like Mr. Hugs. So I think it's quite possible that 5 Laps at Freddy's, even though it looks like it is just tying into everything, isn't actually accurate at all. So I think the fact that HUG or Hug or Mr. Hug or whatever appears in 5 Laps, but he's inaccurate, is actually there's actually a possibility that that Green Afton and MCIMM in general are still possible. Also, the demo that Daco got on that charity stream back in December released like a few weeks ago, and they did not change the poster at all. So it's still the same Mr. Hug poster that is completely inaccurate. So I'm still coping. I can still cope.
I don't think anything is necessarily like inaccurate. I just don't think it confirms what people think
It could just be a reference. It genuinely could just be a reference to the book version of Edwin's vacuum cleaner.
Wait, are people saying that like 5 Laps at Freddy's is canon to the games, even though that like the full game isn't even out yet?
I don't think it is,
Well,
but I think we
it
use it.
does-
I made a
does
video
say
about
in
it. We'll
description.
see.
It
Oh,
does
okay,
say
okay.
that it's like a game in universe. That's what you kind of get from the description.
Okay,
that it
a
exists.
game in universe, not.
That's the maximum.
It says it's sponsored by Fazbear Entertainment. I made a small little theory about it like a couple weeks ago.
Okay, I think I'm following now. I was like, I don't know if we.
So
Like, that honestly would make more sense to me that Fazbear Entertainment would produce a cart game for Five Nights, for the rumors around their pizzeria.
there's two options, which it's either what Flipside said with Flip. You said that it could be like a FNAF World situation. It's either that, or it's just the in-universe video game. I think it would make a lot of sense for it to be the an in-universe. I can't English. Sorry, wasted my voice earlier today. An in-universe
My
video
theory,
game.
my theory that I made leaned more towards I kind of attributed it to it's an in-universe game, but it was kind of like a pizzeria simulator situation. Think like Pop Goes Arcade, kind of, where it's like you're playing the
Yeah.
arcade game, but then you come out of it and you're in like an actual like pizzeria environment. That was kind of like what my theory leaned into.
Yeah. It's like
So kind of like that. So I think we could see that.
That's kind of the better example of it, because what you said was basically like they're telling us basically it's like a troll game, like Pizzeria Simulator, but then there's another layer to it. There's a flip side to it, almost. So
Very funny.
very funny.
Let me play the drum soundboard.
I'll show myself out. Well, do we still have to say that again?
Gosh.
We don't have to say that again, soundboard, do we? We don't.
Say that again?
that
Yeah,
again?
but that was kind of my gist, especially because like the similarities. I think similar.
Oh no.
He died.
No, he
He really
died.
did see himself out.
Flip, no.
He got too close to the answer.
Oh,
He
he's
solved
been
my
silent.
motorist.
But are y'all
We're
telling
entertainment.
me that Fast are producing more in-universe content? I'm sorry.
No, I've been thinking about it too. Specifically, I don't remember the creator who made the video, but I did love the video. Someone had made a video going over how FNAF World is both a in-universe video game as well as being meta, and essentially it was the belief that there is an in-universe game that wouldn't be called FNAF World. It would probably be some other game, and that arcade game is being manipulated by the ghosts as well as the meta narrative to fit the story that we were supposed to learn from it. And it would be the same way with 5 Laps specifically, because it currently contains information that unless the events of 5 Laps at Freddy's as the game is coming out after the event of Ruin, and someone saw the entire ruins under security breach, how are they making a map centered around something that no one other than technicians or Cassie has ever seen?
Could be Afton's
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut out. I had an incoming call coming in, so I was like, oh no.
You got too close to the truth, so Scott coughed in silence too.
Yeah, I
we
did.
just assumed you'd been
Scott-
silenced.
Scott Cawthon sends his agents after me.
Scott was like, "No, you're too close."
Get him out of here.
Yep.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I will have to depart here.
Oh, okay. Good talking to
My
you.
time has run out. It's been great to be on the stream. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thanks for sitting down here and theorizing and allowing me to be a part of that. And yeah, happy anniversary,
Say the line.
Withered Circle.
Thanks. Have a good one.
And I will see you guys all on the flip side.
Yes, he said the
Bye-bye.
thing.
He said the thing.
Everyone in chat, say bye, flip side.
I also have to get going.
Say,
'cause
hey, if you're gamers, say bye shit side.
Hey.
Whoa.
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 everybody like the stream because it's peak.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah,
120
What, do you
something
not
people.
like it? Are you here and you're watching it and you don't like it? That's weird.
Exactly.
Don't be
Hey, you.
weird.
If you don't like the stream, you believe Mike Victim and Mike Trap, and you give Michael a horrible life, dying, coming back, dying again, and becoming Springtrap, and then getting burned. Do you want to be that guy? Well, like the stream.
That's a
Yeah.
lot on you guys' shoulders.
Yeah, like this stream, or you don't like Green Afton. Green
For
Afton
real.
may
Oh,
not be
just like
true,
it
but
now.
it's funny.
But yeah,
Every
I
single
have
one
to-
of my subscribers is legally obligated
My
to like Green
flip
Afton.
flop side, bro. My
Flip flop side.
I'll tell TD to join. I love you guys. I'll see you later.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, Shizu.
Bye.
Okay, we're down to 4 people. I'm gonna see if we can get some more people in here while I try to muster up what else we could talk about. Because
Did you just say mustard?
No,
Mustard
no,
Man?
no, no,
Is-
no, no. Don't say it. Don't say it.
It's been said.
I said mustard,
I
not
mean,
mustard.
I know.
Have
I know.
y'all talked about Secret of the Mimic yet?
Yeah, actually, good idea. Why not? You know what we should
Peak
talk about?
game.
G O D
There's a lot
V
actually there.
A V I D. God, David.
God, David.
Are we gonna talk about it to summon TD? Is that what's
God.
happening?
No. Okay, my plan.
Can
Everyone,
you get to work?
remember how? Okay, chat, and I want you to participate in this. Remember how we were doing a stream with T Dreads for the Fnaf 2 movie, and we started doing a rain dance to summon Skull Coffin, and it worked. I want you all to do a rain dance to summon T Dreads. So chat, spam
Just-
God
It's
David.
reminding me of that memes like da 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 do da 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 da. That's all us dancing around trying to summon other FNAF tubers.
God David.
Oh, David.
Okay.
I honestly love David as a character. Can I say that?
Yeah, he's cool. I
He's
wish he got
cool.
more. I
He's a
think
cool
David.
I wish he got more spotlight. I think the book did handle his relationship with the Mimic way better.
Yeah.
The best thing you get in the game really is just that one photograph.
Yeah, true. But I like how we're getting back to that like cheeky kid energy, like where it's just like I'm dead and I'm gonna like mess with your day just because what else am I gonna do? Like I'm a
Yeah.
kid and I'm playing around in
He's
this
a
giant
trickster.
warehouse of toys and costumes, you know? Like I just love that.
Yeah, I do know. I'm also in chat, but maybe a good topic for Secret of the Mimic because there's a lot of things in that game. What it's up to you, Wither. But do you think the idea that what does Secret of the Mimic tell us about Glitch Trap, if at all? So I see some people saying talk about Glitch Trap in the chat.
Oh, that is a
And
good
Good subject
question.
because I have
my
thoughts.
thing. I have my things. I released a whole video of that like a week ago.
Okay. I'll start because full warning, and this is common knowledge to everyone that knows me. I may come up with the most deranged crack theories ever, but when it comes to noticing very obvious things, I'm a little bit stupid because I was replaying Secret of the Mimic. I did it was on my 4th New Game Plus run. I've done 6 or 7 of them because I was no, don't say it. I was worried that Nervous was gonna tap into the mustard rain rod again. Anyway.
I didn't.
Anyway,
be good.
I made a good amount of New Game Plus runs because I was testing out Secret of the Mimic loop and seeing if that would change any events in the game. I wanted to get all the achievements and so on. And I did the bad ending where you hand over the data diver, and I noticed that that cutscene that plays when you're in Proto Freddy's and you're stuffed in Fredbear and you're kind of watching and you can look around and look at the party room and whatever. I noticed for the first time that M2 was there. So M2 is watching and he's doing the little wavy thing that Glitch Trap does.
Yep.
So
Straight up.
So honestly, and since this is clearly mirroring Help Wanted, to me this Secret of the Mimic feels like it's tying it all together because there's that dialogue at the end of the parachute ending where Mr. Helpful is like, "Oh, goodbye," and it's like a meta commentary from Steel Wool and so on. And then there's all these connections to Help Wanted, which is the first FNAF Steel Wool game. It feels to me like one of their objectives with Secret of the Mimic was to explain their first villain, Glitchtrap. So I think, because of that, Glitchtrap, if not completely, is either a branch of the core Mimic program, or he's M2. Literally just straight up M2 mixed with some Fazbear Agony later on. But I want to hear your thoughts about that. What you think it is.
I made a whole video on it, so I believe Simulate is meant to tie back and give the answers, but I believe opposite. I think it tells you pretty much verbatim that it can't be M2, because it tells you how the mimics work. The way the mimics work is that while they do copy things they say, they can learn characters. We see that they only really hyperfixate on someone when they get locked into a persona, like what happened with M1 and Fiona, and what you do in the secret ending. Even the cut ending that was scrapped that you lock it into Edwin, it really thinks it's Edwin. And that's how these mimics get locked into and hyperfixate on a particular persona. And if Glitch Trap is a mimic, it's not just a mimic copying things, right, or learning. It's a mimic that would be hyperfixated on the identity of William Afton, locked into that persona, which M2 had no ability to ever be locked into that identity. So I think it kind of shuts that down. And what I think it does, though, it's set up more of a glitch both situation. Because you have, I think, Fiona in one, who I do think still has her endo body, but one way or another, she has very similar ties to things like the storyteller and the mimic from Tales, because you have the wires, the idea of everything going around. She's hooked up to everything. She's the storyteller in the game. It's really called Storytime Ending. You put the white tiger on the pedestal, like the white tiger head, the storyteller. You have all these ties, and you have glitch traps ties to the mimic. Helpy acts just like M1. If you look at the way they behave, with the way they get mad at you if you take too long, or you ignore them or go against them, Helpy, like in Help 1 or 2, gets mad at you the exact same way Fiona does as Dispatch. They act the very same way. They deceive you the exact same way. So I really think these are meant to be M1 and her aspect of Glitch Trap being the mimic side of it, while Afton is what really makes up Glitch Trap. And I think that's kind of the idea trying to push here, is that Glitch Trap is either, M1 Afton, or it would have to be a new mimic, perhaps made by Afton, to be locked into his persona. I think it kind of destroys the idea that M2 could have ever been locked into Afton.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. I kind of still disagree despite that. But I get it. Terminal, you've been a bit quiet and I don't want to force you to talk, but do you have any particular thoughts on this? Just
Yes, I'm actually currently looking into this exact idea of who are each of the mimics. So by the time of Ruin, I think there are 3 distinct different forms of the mimic. I think there's Mexis, which is what Fiona eventually becomes. I think there is Glitch Trap, who is also Helpy. And then I think there's M2 in the actual mimic animatronic. Because I think that Fiona herself turns into Mexis because we don't see another machine, but also in the Ruin ending where there's the Scooper, the Scooper does the exact same attack animation that the Mimic does in the Parachute ending. It spins its weird claw hand, winds up its attack, and then goes in for a grab, not like just a punch or anything. Both of them do that same similar attack, which makes me think that, like Draz was saying, Fiona is supposed to be similar to the storyteller. I think Mexis is Fiona storyteller, where she gets plugged into the Fnaf building and becomes our storyteller, controls most of the Pizzaplex, including that scooper arm. And obviously we know from other games that Helpy is Glitch Trap. Where that comes from, I'm currently believing that it's a branch of M2, where M2 kind of witnessed what M1 was doing in order to create M2. M2 then tries to mimic that by creating M2.2, M3, Glitch Trap, whatever the heck you want to call it. And that's why both of them have very similar goals in Ruin. They both want Cassie to reach the Mimic and let it escape, while Mexis has the opposite. It's trying to stop it because Mexis, Fiona, realizes that the Mimic is a danger to people. It realizes that way back in Secret of the Mimic, where it's like, yeah, if anybody enters the building, the Mimic will hunt them down, even if they escape. So that using all of that, that's where I'm believing each of the identities are of the Mimics.
To actually ask a question about the Fiona's Mexis thing, because if she was Mexis, why would she refer to the cradle? Just I just never seen a good answer. I was just wondering what you would say about it. Is why would in her email she be giving Edwin the blueprints to build a computer when she's already in the computer? Because she refers to it as it will keep it. It can provide boundaries and keep them safe, right? If that
Right.
was her, if that's a computer for her, why would she say it can't? If speech impediment coming in here. Word, English wise, you would say it will allow me, or with it I can. Like there's a certain way you would phrase that, but the way she phrases it as if it itself independently can do what she says it can do, not that she is using it herself. And that it would fit that if she's already in that computer and sending that blueprint to him, then that would explain the experimental storage number 2 we see, right? Because we
Right.
have one experimental storage sending an email to build presumably a more advanced form of that to I know that it's
Yeah,
kind of
that,
weird because one's number 2, one's number 1. Fiona would presumably be number 2, but bit weird thing there. But there would have to be a similar computer somewhere.
yeah, I definitely believe that it's there's not really a good answer in my interpretation, where I believe that M1 created the blueprints, but then Edwin never finished the second version of the Mexis machine. It's not a good answer at the moment, but it's all I have because we don't see a second one, and even after running Cradle, the Mimic continues to hunt us down.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of believing that even though he may have started on that project, it never got finished. And like you said, it's probably a bigger version of what Fiona is trapped in, either to hold both of them so that Fiona can like just get into the same machine as M2 and fix her herself, or something is very much different from M2 than it was N1.
Yeah, I just think Fiona is the number 2. I think like if they want us to feel like she's Mexis, because they're both experimental storages, and they want us to think it's Mexis, why not just have like the Mexis label and have the subtitle saying Mexis? I feel like the fact that they made it an identical computer, but they felt like they needed to have a different label, even though we have like I think it's a teaser in Hot 1 or 2's update where it seems to be someone's taking the computer from MCM and it always has that label. Yeah, I think that would most likely be in the 70s. I could be wrong, but I feel like that would most likely be in the 70s. So I do feel like the fact that it has the label is meant to mean these are 2 separate computers. But I can definitely see why, people do think it's Mexis. I just think the language in the emails kind of makes that difficult.
Okay.
I think I would just be frustrated if like they were like, okay, we're gonna introduce you to this computer that looks literally exactly like the Mixus machine, and we gave you the teaser where a machine was being put inside of a van. Obviously, that one at the time couldn't have said Fiona on it because that would be crazy, and we'd be like, what? Like that would be crazy to put that on there before the game was even out. I think that would. You know what I mean? So it's like I think I would just be frustrated if they were like, and then there were 2 computers instead of just like we reprogrammed this computer to actually run Cradle and actually implemented it in the new Pizzaplex.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's just like the game only has like tells you there's a second computer because there's the when you go in Edward's office you have experimental source number 2. So while you don't see the other computer in the game, like one of them you don't see one way or another.
Yeah.
I feel like the fact it says that means it does exist. So you kind of still get 2 computers out of the way.
Yeah, I guess so. I just wish
Yeah.
they would. I wish they would have showed it to us. Then I guess I'm just like,
Well, to be
computers
fair,
look so different so recently after the way that like the Fiona computer looks. I'm just like, man, I don't know if they built that like in the late 80s, it wouldn't look the same as one that was built in like the early 70s. So it would have to have already been completed then.
to be fair, doesn't the message that Fiona says say that it's going to be a bigger project than he's ever created, which wouldn't line up with what we see in Ruin? It's the exact same size, shape, dimensions that we see in Secret of the Mimic. So I don't think that that can be the same, a different machine from, like, maybe it's a second one that is built to look identical and everything, but like it can't be the one that Fiona was specifically talking about, because Fiona says it's bigger than anything he has already created up to that point.
Yep. Yeah.
Someone in
I
chat is
think
saying
it's
the
not
ruin machine is
a-
bigger, but how? Do you know that, Everett?
I feel like it could be bigger in terms of like the internal, like what it does. Like maybe its computer is still a 70s computer, but what it does is bigger than anything he's ever done before. And its purpose, that could be it. Immense Andrew has a great video trying to mend these like emails and the timeline of it with the two computers.
Mhm.
So I am going to show for him. He has a great video covering it. Yeah, that's the main thing, is that the implication would be is that this is a whole new computer. He's never built it before, but the email gives you the idea, and the dialogue game gives you the idea that she's sending this email from the same computer. Like even when you're in the running dialogue in Parachute, when she says, "I want my son," like I watched him grow up through this machine. I want him back, right? That's contextually referring to her machine F10, and the fact she watched Dave as a kid grow up through that machine apparently and wants him back. Yeah, I know it could be referring to her Endo being a machine in general, but contextually it would seem to be like an F10 computer, which wouldn't make sense if that computer came way later. That would imply she always had that computer.
Okay. So first off, this is a slight change of subject, but Morse, thanks for the 5 reais. Pretty sure that's what that is. Change of subject to Dreadbear. So Dreadbear equals Frankenstein. Just read a summary of the Frankenstein story. It's crazy how similar it is to the story of Edwin and M1, M2. I think I get where they're coming from, but okay, what do we think about Dreadbear, just in general?
Fight Victor.
Yeah, that's valid, honestly.
Dread Arnold.
You die.
Not Dread Arnold. Okay.
I can't remember the context of the conversation, but I remember somebody talking about how it was oh yeah, they were like talking about Dreadbear in comparison to like the Mimic and how the Mimic is formed, where in the Help Wanted, the Curse of Dreadbear, that mini game is you literally like programming his brain correctly so that he's like a good bear. And not killer bear.
Yeah, he kills you if you get it wrong.
I think that's interesting.
So it implies he's like malfunctioning. It's like Glamrock Freddy from Security Breach. It's the same thing. So I agree with. So Dreadbear, in my opinion, is like pretty clearly a gulp parallel to the Crying Child in more ways than one. I think it's very clear that they have some kind of connection. It's more like Dreadbear, Fredbear. They're both associated with brain. But I also think Dreadbear is more Golden Freddy in general, and not just Bite Victim. Because one of like Dreadbear's things is that he rises out of this red lake, and I personally believe that that Cassidy got springlocked by William during the MCI. And this is kind of like why it's also part of why she's special, why it kind of ties into agony beings and so on. And I think that kind of ties into like William in the Silver Eyes when he is describing what a springlock failure does to you. He's like, oh yeah, you'll drown in your own blood. And there's this Tales from the Pizzaplex story literally called Drowning, which is all about a drowned girl that theoretically drowned in her own blood. That looks like she's from a different time period than the Pizzaplex. So I believe that Cassidy did get springlocked. So I think that Dreadbear is more a representation of Golden Freddy and how he's still present in the present, which is why you have like It's Me appearing in the modern era. It only appears one time in the modern era, which is Curse of Dreadbear in the barn that Dreadbear himself walks into in one of the Easter eggs. That's
Mhm.
kind of my
I got a cursed
my
idea
thought.
for you.
Uh-oh.
Cursed idea. If he's the represents the bite victim, but also Golden Freddy, that means bite victim is Golden Freddy. I think you're completely right. I think you're just splitting it when it's just all bite victim. He rises
Hmm.
from the Red Lake.
But
Bite victim is Dreadbear.
but
Oh, I just
explain
had a cursed idea.
explain the drowning in your own blood imagery and how it's tied to spring locking. Because
Well, I
unless
don't
you
think there.
BV fifth.
You go on. You go. I don't think there's necessarily any spring lock imagery because you have the Red Lake, and I think that ties more to UCN to me. I
Hmm.
don't necessarily think the fifth victim got spring locked. I think that's a valid interpretation. You could draft the connections for it to be there. I just don't see enough for it for me personally. I think it ties Dreadbear to being the one who should not have killed, representing Golden Freddy, and him being the bite victim. He could be
Okay.
spring locked. I just don't see like enough stuff directly saying.
Yeah. I see that. Terminal nervous. What do you think about
Mhm.
my hypothesis? What do you think about the idea of just Cassidy being a spring lock victim, just in general?
Oh, I
I
like
really, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for it, especially for it to be like, oh, the vengeful spirit, the one you should not have killed, for it to be someone who died in such a similar way to Afton, for their death to lead them down such a path of like, I can't let go, I won't let go, I'm very like, even if it means that everybody else can't move on, assuming that that's how the moving on system of FNAF works anyway. And everything else isn't just some weird apparition created by vengeful spirit to torture William. It's just, it feels like such a correct through line for both of these characters to have died the same way and then be like parallel locked in an infinite conflict with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's complicated, but overall, I think that the whole like Dreadbear being Frankenstein thing that Morse brought up is important. Because why Frankenstein specifically? Why something that is pieced together from a lot of like essentially the corpses of a lot of things that came before and brought to life using electricity. And then you have the whole minigame of putting him together and so on. I hate to say it, but of putting the pieces together. I think that Dreadbear, while being Golden Freddy, in some way, is also very mimic coded. I think that there's something mimic in there. I just don't know what. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, that was the cursed idea that I had because specifically the it's me that you were mentioning that pops up, you can only get that when you throw the darts at the clown posters, right? And
Oh, yeah.
before this, we thought that the clowns were Circus Baby until Jackie showed up, and now everyone's like, "Oh, this could be Jackie." So that feels like it's supposed to be a direct connection to this new character that we're having, the Mimic, being the one who's now connected to Dreadbear, who is now connected to Golden Freddy, which is like an insane idea.
You're going to the mental ward.
I mean,
yeah.
I should have already been there a long time ago.
So do all of us, honestly.
I would also point out though that I think that barn is the same place you get the bite victim birthday cake. So I think that also connects to it's me to him. Unless I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure you get it there.
I mean, yeah, the posters being like just basically just Jackie, I think is very interesting. I think it all ties back because that clown poster appeared in FNAF 6 for the first time. I feel like it's very intentional. I feel like Scott kind of looked back on that old random poster he made that was probably just Circus Baby and was like, I can make this something. So he kind of told him to put it in Dreadbear and tied Dreadbear to Secret of the Mimic and so on. I think there's a possibility that since we're probably getting the Secret of the Mimic DLC, that in that DLC, which will probably happen at Fall Fest, because I don't know if anyone's talked about this, but if you go in free cam in like the beginning area of the game and just zoom over across a few mountains, you literally just see the lake where Curse of Dreadbear happens. Like that is just the lake where Fall Fest 83 is. if you like, even if you look to the left, you'll see the house. Like, it's all there. So I think that the DLC will kind of take us to Fall Fest 83, and maybe we'll get like a connection to Dreadbear through that. Maybe we'll get like rebuilding the Mimic minigame or something.
See, that doesn't exactly make 100% sense to me because
know.
unless Fall Fest changes locations pretty frequently, like it doesn't have to be every year, but every few years, Fiona says that she has to go for the weekend and like hires a babysitter. So Fall Fest being like right outside the MCM doors doesn't 100% make sense to me. I know the idea of it taking place in Arizona is kind of not true anymore since that newspaper that we found is
a stock asset.
Yes, thank you. But like it still feels like, even though a lot of these things are lining up to be very similar, that something is not adding up, and that is making me think that it's still not the same.
Yeah. I don't know.
Use the AI mask to teleport across the area.
Sure.
True.
Yeah, because Mexes canonically just teleports people. Have we thought about that? Like the AR network and how it's tied to Mexes. Mexes can just you Cassie into an like alternate reality. Just grab her and plink her somewhere else in the Pizzaplex. Arnold walks into a rift in time, gets teleported back in time to Hurricane Utah with the lake, and boom. I mean, personally, I think now that stock asset is undeniably out of the question. For context, chat, there's like a bunch of newspapers in Secret of the Mimic, which are like geography of Arizona. And so everyone's like, oh, Arizona is next to Utah, which is where most of Fnaf happens. And Arnold mentions that it's a pretty decent drive away from Freddy, so he went there, he did the job, whatever. And that's where MCM is built. So turns out those newspapers were also used in Indigo Park. They're a stock asset. So it probably doesn't happen in Arizona anymore. And Cyanide proposed Fazburger, which is the theory that like every FNAF location is like just built one on top of another, and it's just this massive plot of land that Fazbear owns, and that MCM is part of that. Now that these stock assets are just out of the question and are not relevant anymore, I think the whole Fazburger idea makes a lot more sense. And I think it makes a lot of sense for Fall Fest to also be part of the Fazburger, which is why I brought this up.
I got a genius idea. What if Indigo Park is just the same title?
All right.
Indigo line. I believe Indigo line.
You know, Indigo is really close to purple.
True.
William Afton and Henry Emily.
That's the secret collab, bro. That's the secret collab that Scott's been working on.
Doesn't Indigo Park open in like the 40s? So like this. Okay, hear me out, right? So Mr. John Indigo or whatever he's called starts Indigo Park, and then he creates a shoot-off project called Fredbear's Singing Show, and his little son, Mr. William, little Billy, is like, oh my god, this is so cool. He grows up, his dad dies, and he's like, oh, I must honor his legacy as William Indigo Afton. So he dresses up as his dad's favorite color, purple. Absolute cinema.
That would mean that Rambly the Raccoon is just a branch of the Mimic program.
Rambly Mimic,
up, guys.
Rambly Mimic. Yeah. Okay, back on track. What should we talk about?
Someone was begging us earlier to talk about FNAF 4.
FNAF 4?
FNAF 4?
What about?
I don't know. Someone kept asking it in the chat.
Okay. So Secret of the Mimic, am I right? FNAF 4 room. What's that about? What do we think?
William replicated it.
Yeah, or just yeah. He was like, this would be a great room to experiment. It seems like it was already used to experiment. Let's make it a fear experiment.
I feel like I don't believe God David, but I think some idea potentially of he wants to because in the novels he wanted to replicate what happened with Charlie. I think it could be like that to some extent with David in the games. Maybe a combination of the puppet and Charlie. I mean, the puppet and David replicate both of them. or one being kind of spiraling to the other. But I think he might want to replicate David's life, and that's what that room could have been. At least part.
I just feel like there's a lot, like based on what we've seen, and I won't say that that it's like a theory. It's more of like a hypothesis, but that
My theory is a fact.
fair enough. That William definitely at some point like found, some parts of like Edwin's whole secret past, or he has the robot wife and robot computer wife Karen, all that stuff. I think it would not be terribly out of the question that like Fiona ended up getting some kind of influence over William, and he was like trying to finish, what Edwin was supposed to finish, but he's also crazy, and so he went very dark murder path with it, as opposed to her like more peace line.
Makes me think of that. It made me think of that old theory with Ennard was like the one side William doing the murders. Like the people thought William was the player of this location. It's the first thing I thought
of. What?
There was that theory when Suspicion first came out that everyone thought William was the player. Ennard was the one who killed the kids in William.
That would be crazy.
That's the first thing I thought when you say M1 was controlling, influencing William.
No, like had influence over him, not like put a chip in his brain, but like the same way Fiona is like talking to Arnold and is deceiving him and being like, you need to do XYZ or whatever. Like I don't think it would be crazy to assume, and even the way you could say in essence the way that she was doing the same thing to, I say she, but to Edwin. Of like, it's okay that your son died because we can bring him back. All we have to do is build this robot and make it think it's your son, and that's all you have to do. Like, I could totally see William taking that in the worst direction possible, having the same kind of like if Crying Child died, around the same time that he had all this stuff under his watch, right? Because it's 1979 that the game takes place. Fazbear Entertainment owns everything that's in Murray's Costume Manor. For all intents and purposes, it seems like the Mimic escapes the Costume Manor at the end of the game, regardless of which ending is correct. So now William could feasibly go there without being chased by that Mimic, unless the Mimic went right back to Murray's Costume Manor, which isn't impossible. But I'm just saying, like, I think that it's possible that Fiona got in William's head the same way that she was trying to get, and in some ways succeeded in getting in Edwin's head.
Are you saying Will Grief is canon? Everyone?
Did I say that?
I mean, I think that's what the insinuation is, that like she was using the loss of his children to influence them. I was just joking though.
Okay, I'm like, I'm not saying that. I'm also saying that William still killed children, so I don't think he's a good person or was nice to his children. I'm just saying that I could see her getting in his head, and in his twisted mind, obviously he uses all of that to be like, wait a minute, I could put my consciousness in a robot of some sorts. I could live forever. I can invent immortality and have access to like a digital consciousness that will allow me to go on forever and ever. So because like obviously he didn't just like bring his kid back and live a happy life with his robot wife. Like if he was actually grieving and was capable of like going through that, I think we'd have more of like a Henry line, where like Henry the Silver Eyes line, where he actually did build robot children. But I don't see evidence that he did that, unless you think Gregory is Crying Child.
Yeah, David, or whatever.
I mean, I do believe Greg bought, but I'm kind of leaning to it being like a David or both.
Honestly, with the direction we're going now, I think it's more likely to just be brain chip shenanigans than anything actually Greg bot related. Like, Greg bot, scarily enough, is back on the table now, but I personally think it makes much more sense with the narrative to just... no, unfortunately something went so wrong, and now I can't do anything but talk about Gregbot.
Y'all don't appreciate Peak. Let that be known.
Yeah, I don't know. I should rewatch the original MatPat Gregbot video because that was certainly something. That was certainly a video that existed.
From memory,
that's
I don't
what
think it was
hated.
bad, except for the 180 at the very end that turned into Gregbot. But now it's, like you said, back on the table.
Well, he was right though. The connections he brought to Gregory. That's the weird
Yeah.
thing. So everything he said was right and valid. Like,
The thing is,
Right.
he was
made
completely
all the
right.
connections.
He just got the wrong conclusion.
Yeah.
well, Bo's right.
But to be fair, I think a lot of people around the security breach era did the exact same thing. Like, I think TD was watching John Fnaf's videos and was like, he just needs to change Charlie Bot to the Mimic, and everything that he's saying is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of what God David is all about, where it's basically just saying MatPat was right. He just kind of swapped the details around, and yeah, it's complicated. He had the narrative. He just, I think, went in the wrong direction. It's still interesting. Like, I kind of
I think
agree
the
with most of what he
big
said.
thing that I think the big thing that got him off track was the fuzzy eyes when you look at Vanny.
Yeah, that's the
Which is the only other thing that does that is the camera screens.
yeah. Okay, from a God David perspective, or just modern general 2025 perspective, why does it do that? It's just like, is that just a visual thing, or does that actually mean something?
You know why? You know what I think.
Uh-oh.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
I believe Greg bots.
Yeah.
I do believe it just means.
Okay, people that don't believe Gregbot, because that's the obvious answer. Look, if you believe Gregbot and I ask you, what does it mean? You will say Gregbot. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, I want an explanation that isn't Gregbot, because how the hell do you explain that without it being Gregbot?
I just think it like ties into this the same weird visual effects that, you know, Cassie is experiencing with the chip in her head. You know what I mean? Like, it's you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be quote unquote illusion discs, but there's clearly like two quote unquote pizza plexes existing at once, the physical and this more digital one. And what is real and what isn't real becomes incredibly fuzzy, literally, in Ruin. And it's interesting enough, like, you know, Freddy, Glamrock Freddy doesn't see Vanny until he has Roxy's eyes in.
Okay.
So there's credence to the idea that, you know, she isn't, you know, on the physical side of the Pizzaplex, but instead on that other end of it.
She's wearing the mask.
I came up with a brainwave while you were saying that. Now, listen to me. What if that the buzzing and the vision blurring and stuff is just feedback between the two chips? Because Vanny has a chip and so does Gregory. So what if it's just, if they're in close proximity, they just start bugging out? So she's also kind of like messed up. It's just their vision both starts getting blurry. They're too close together, because that occipital lobe transponder can't function accurately if there's two of them right next to each other. I think that's the most likely explanation, if not Gregbot. I think that's kind of what makes the most sense in that context.
I mean, I think that's valid. It's just like, it's very clear that, like, obviously Vanny is wearing some version, if not the exact same mask, that just has a different visual in Ruin as the one in Security Breach. So I think it's very like, I don't know what happens to the physical person when they put on the mask. Like, that is still confusing to me, just conceptually, because Cassie is able to teleport and go through and see physical objects. Like, I don't know, it's very odd. Like, you're experiencing the object as a physical object without the mask on, but then you put it on and it is not physical. So that part is still very confusing to me. So I could see a world where Vanny is never in the same she's not in the same physical space as Gregory, but she's in the same quote unquote digital space as Gregory, and that's why he can see her and is exactly having that weird feedback, because potentially he has a chip, potentially he is a robot, whatever it is. But yeah, they're not supposed to be, or whatever's happened to Gregory and Glamrock Freddy by extension at the beginning of Security Breach was not supposed to happen to them. So something is malfunctioning, whatever that something is, whether if it's Gregory's chip, if it's just Glamrock Freddy's programming, I don't know. But it's a really weird. There's so many visual effects in Security Breach that aren't explained that to me that I find very odd.
This is this is messing up my brain. I'll have to think about this more in the future. Okay.
Everything makes a lot of sense if you just let it be Remnant. It's all Remnant, baby.
Remnant Plex CEO over
Remnant
here.
Plex.
From the top to the bottom, to the side to the side.
Yeah. I guess Remnant makes sense. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure how that would work with the AR network and those shenanigans. I get Remnant Plex, and I think it's a cool conclusion to come to. I'm just not. I need to see. I need to think about how that would work with the rest of it. Okay. Any other subjects we want to touch on? We'll keep going for like maybe an hour more tops.
Robot kids, there's a thing of robot people. In this location, there's an unsolved Easter egg that when you go into Balora's gallery and you hold down
1
for 83 seconds, you get a blue screen. You get like crashes.
So the 83 seconds isn't relevant because it's like, I forget how many frames it is, but it's a clean number. It's like 8,000 frames or whatever. And it just counts because the Click Team games don't count in seconds. They count in frames, which is why when you slow down FNAF 1 to 1 frame per second, you just don't have to do anything. Because the animatronic AI operates off not time, but frames.
Oh.
So the 83 seconds isn't actually a relevant detail. It's just a
How
really
so? Scott
tragic.
should know about it.
He could, but I think it's more because it's such an amazing coincidence for it to be an even number. It's like it's exactly 1,000, like 8,000, 9,000, something like that. The probability of him being like, okay, I want this to be 83 seconds, and it being the clean amount of frames, not just a random, like, if it was a random number of frames, if it was like 7,953, and that was 83 seconds, I'd say you're completely right. But for it to be like something like this, where it's just 8,000 frames, I don't think it has a lot to do with the 83 seconds. However, that is
just to
interesting.
line up with 83, though, it would also be even just as much of a bigger coincidence, I personally think. So I think Scott could have just simply taken the time
You got a spammer.
and made sure to get it right. What's
Whispered it.
Sorry.
No, it was so funny the way you whispered it.
Wait, what?
Like, if I whisper it, they won't
You have
hear
somebody
me.
spamming.
Yeah, it's one of these people.
I mean, okay, Sister Location has a lot of weird Easter eggs.
Is your when you're talking about the blue screen, are you saying that because you think that like we're playing as a robot? I'm sorry, I missed the connection. Or like, how are you connecting that to there being robot people?
It's just the fact that it's a blue screen of death. It's literally just a blue screen of death if you perform a very specific action and you're playing as Michael.
Okay, so like,
do you know this Easter egg? Like, do you know what it looks like? Okay, you know what?
No.
Well, let me.
I know what a blue screen of death looks like,
Yeah,
but
of
I'm just
course.
asking the question, like, is the conclusion that Mike is a robot in this moment, or is the conclusion that, like, we're in a simulation? Like, I'm just confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't
Okay.
know.
It's loop theory.
No,
line
no,
of
no, no,
logic
no,
is
no.
right. Everyone is a robot.
Yeah, that's what the line of the line of logic that got us here was. There's a history of robot people in sister location, and then the blue screen of death was listed as an example of that. And so I'm asking, how is it an example of that because we play as a robot, or that the whole thing is a simulation, or like
I was kind of
just
joking.
Okay,
'cause
hold
I
up.
don't
Let
believe
me
Micbot, but I was saying it is an Easter egg that is
click on the
evidence
stream.
to
Okay.
Micbot.
Click on the stream, and
Got
I'll
it.
show you what this is.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I guess chat will want to see this as well. Hold up. Window capture. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
think I
sorry
got
when
this
people
either.
are
For
trolling or
context.
telling jokes and I don't realize I struggle.
So, like,
But
you're
it's like half joke because it's a real Easter egg that is evidence
Right.
for Micbot. But I don't think it confirms.
so
Okay,
like
that's all. That's all. I was just like,
you walk through
what
this
is the-
room. If you and if you stop and press 0, 1 for those frames, it shows you this
Yeah.
blue screen, which will show up in a little bit. It shows you. Let me skip ahead. It shows you this, and then it starts showing random numbers. So these numbers are just random each
Oh, I've
time.
seen this before. Okay.
Yes, it just plays this for like forever, and it just keeps on going, and
Crazy.
it doesn't stop unless you close the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
I think I did find out. Someone pointed out that the type of computer it is, came out in like 1993.
Mm, interesting. So yeah, that's what that is.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's Micbot evidence, but I don't think it is weird.
It is. Yeah, it's really odd. I've just never actually heard anybody talk about it, but I know I've seen that screen before. I just don't know if I knew contextually what it was connected to. Probably just in going through like screenshots of sister location or the wiki or something.
Okay. Oh, Rid, thanks for the $10. Oh no, this is gonna be wild. Hold up, I need to adjust my sitting position for this. Fallfest Fire creates Fnaf World. Carnival area of Fnaf World has connections. Allow Spirit Agony Remnant to influence locations with same material / death and Cassidy / help wanted to go. Okay. One thing I want to say, and I've thought about this ever since Secret of the Mimic came out. Big Top's chase music has the pinwheel circus motif. I think it's the pinwheels, the dun 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 dun, like that one, and that's so weird. Ugh.
We got the goat in the chat, bro. We got the
Oh,
goat in the
oh,
chat.
hey, sis. Yes, sis. We are talking about the Four Nights at Bonnie's lore. We all know that the cryptic mystery of the imitator came out like a month ago, so we're kind of just sorting through that lore right now. So, Secret of the Mimic has a ton of motifs, and it having, I think is it Pinwheel Circus? Like, I'm not sure. It's like underneath one or something. It's like something.
I can
just
pull up
forget
Pinwheel
what.
Circus right now.
Like, you know what I mean?
I use it in like all of my videos, so I think I would.
Like, you know what motif I'm talking about, right? Like, did I hum it clearly enough? And it plays during the Big Top theme, and I don't understand why it plays during the Big Top theme. So you saying that the Fallfest Fire like creates FNAF World sounds insane, but Secret of the Mimic kind of has a connection to has like several connections to FNAF World. So I keep forgetting what the motif is from.
The dun 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 dun. Is it that Freddy's?
That sounds Toreador or Marchy. What
No,
you're singing right now.
I need to think. Is it Stone Cold? It might be Stone Cold. I'm not sure. But you know what I mean. Like, you know the motif. It's just I don't know where it's from.
This is Stone Cold.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, I'll find the motif later. But Rid, to your point, I get it. I just disagree because I think FNAF World is created from something very different later on. I think it has got more to do with the 80s and the tragedies that happened related to Freddy's, if that is something that happens, that's something tied to the main universe. If it's something that's tied to the main universe, I think it would be the 80s and not Secret of the Mimic. It would be really weird to retroactively change that. Plus, Scott himself said he wishes he hadn't made FNAF World tied to the games. So him going like, you know what, I don't like FNAF World being tied to the games, so I'll make it even more tied to the games is really weird. I don't think he'd do that.
I feel like him not wanting it tied is just because he kind of made it confusing and very meta, but him retelling the story in different ways kind of would fix that problem.
I think the motif is Pinwheel Circus. I just went back and listened to it. Sorry.
You think? Yeah, I'll re-listen to it as well.
It's like this doon 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 doon. They're both Pinwheel Circus and the Big Top. Like when you're trying to hide from his lights and you're trying to go fix the.
That's I was thinking of
Yeah.
the wrong Big Top song.
No.
okay.
The one I'm talking
Wait,
about isn't that one. I'm not talking about Tragedy and Comedy Hesitation. I'm talking about Way Off the Wagon, where he's chasing you and it goes down, 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 down.
Oh.
If you listen to Way Off the
okay,
Wagon,
okay.
you'll know what I mean. It's just I have this I know what the motif is. I've heard this motif. I just don't know where it's from, but I know it's from
The
FNAF
chase
World.
music.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Okay, chat. You're gonna be listening to me
dun,
sorting through
dun,
FNAF World songs.
dun, 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 doo, doo, doo. Yeah, that's not Toreador March. That's a different one.
It
I think
gets
you were
later.
humming it wrong, but I
No.
now know
There's
what I now hear
there's
you.
like a little bit later. It's like 1 minute something into the song, where it plays
Okay.
like 5 seconds of the motif and then that's it. I just don't know why. I don't know where. I don't know who. It's a battle. I know what it is. I think. Yeah, I know what it is. It's Broken Theme Fear. I think. Let me listen to it. Yep, okay. So Broken Theme Fear is Chipper's theme. It's Chipper's theme. And for some reason, Big Top. And for some reason, Big Top plays Chipper's theme. Why? Why? Oh, Morse, thanks again for the 5 riyaj. Shapeshifter's Wrath has a part taken directly from Chipper's Revenge. Okay, so I made a video talking about how Chipper and Sons influences the Mimic, and how Chipper and Sons has a lot of Mimic imagery, and how the Mimic idea came from there. So the fact that there's like 3 Chipper and Sons motifs in Secret of the Mimic is actually really interesting. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I hear it.
Like, did you find that bit in Way Off the Wagon where it plays Broken Theme Fear?
Broken Fear was in the Way Off the Wagon. Yeah, the Big Top Chase song is the same as the Chipper's Revenge theme. Yeah, not the same, but yeah, that motif is in both of them. That's nuts.
Interesting. So we found something. That Chipper connection is good. Thanks Morse for pointing that out. That's weird.
Doesn't
Why
Chipper
Broken Theme
have
Fear?
a final boss battle in FNAF World where after you beat him, he's like, I will return?
Yes, he does.
Chipper is
he's
Big
like,
Top Fury.
True.
Chipper Big Top Fury. Okay.
Makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Okay.
I really do want to replay FNAF World though, because there's 2 things
FNAF World
off the top of my head that I remember from FNAF World. It's one of them is whenever I think it's Glitch Bear is talking to us, and he's saying that we were made for this, and recontextualizing that with the Mimic makes me think that there's a deeper meaning there, like the Mimic was made for this. But that's also completely out of context because I'm not remembering anything around what he's saying there. But also, I think it's the version 2 update where we go to fight the glitch monster thing at the end of the game, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh nope, it's actually Chica's rainbow,
Yeah,
which is kind
Yeah.
of similar to what we see in FNAF right now, where
Mm.
the glitchy rabbit enemy is now being sidelined by somebody who is associated with Chica.
Mimic. Okay, so Chad has dubbed this new theory God Chipper, and honestly, I think I need to inform T-Dreads of this development. We've
Let's
invented God
go.
Chipper.
God Chipper.
God Chipper. I would make a follow-up talking about this and how I was right and you're all stupid for only giving my video like 10k views. But realistically, that video would get even less views, so I won't make a follow-up. This stream is the only place where I'll talk about it. Okay, what else should we talk about? Are there any other subjects for debate that we...
I don't know. When do you want to wrap? I mean,
how
whatever
long
we
have we
talk
been
about
going
next,
for? We've been going for 1:45. I want to push this to the 2-hour mark so we have like 15 more minutes. If you guys
Okay.
just want to chill, that's fine by me. But
You have
if
any
we have any
super
other
chat?
lots of super chats today. Thank you everyone for the and it's really cool. My viewership is pretty decent. We've had consistently 100 people all stream long. So let's see.
That's so nice.
More 5 more reais, thanks. Chipper created oh my god. Yeah, okay. Chipper created the fodder tree that copies itself and turns other trees in itself after his wife died. So the storyteller. I bring this up in my video. Let me link that video because I'll send it in chat. Because that like I agree completely. I think that's kind of where it comes from. Because like the main point I'm making that video is like the mimic was planned from the start, not necessarily like Scott fought it out from the first game, but more so like mimic was an idea in the back of his mind since Chipper and Sons. It was a plot point that he wanted to include.
I think even before Chipper and Sons, honestly, like the Desolate Hope has so much overlap story-wise with the more modern FNAF games.
Coffee appears in Secret of the Mimic.
I know.
That's so cool, honestly. Coffee has appeared in like 3 games.
The whole concept of the Desolate Hope is that they're these like robots, these who are sent out to create their own version of like the perfect world. And they suck at it because they keep discarding everything that is more human. Like, I'm not saying that that's the whole point of the game, but like you'll see all these you see this like theme of the little robot people talking about like the humans kept sending us like photographs and toys and things like that, and we were like, why were they sending us all this junk? And we just threw it out. Where it's like the robots weren't able to fully like connect with humanity, but that was their whole job. So they're like constantly trying to recreate reality, but it keeps getting weirder and weirder because they're not actually connecting with humanity. But also they've been completely cut off from the contact with the humans. They haven't like reached out in so long.
Yeah.
So
I haven't played this with Hope.
I haven't finished it because it is, I'm sorry, I'm not saying it's boring to everybody, but there's so much slog to get to like what I would consider the gameplay. And I'm just like, oh guys, I can't do it. But it's just so interesting that it seems like Scott's finally getting to like tell the story in another way, like in another avenue. So it's like he's like, okay, well nobody cared about the Desolate Hope when I made it back in the day, but now I can kind of reinvent that story and make it fit inside of the Mimic, or inside of FNAF with the Mimic.
That's
with these concepts
Yeah,
of
I
like
like that.
humans and robots like trying to like people thinking that robots could accurately reproduce humanity or something human.
Okay, Morse has another super chat. More God Chipper thoughts. Chat, I think we might have cooked with God Chipper.
I mean, maybe we're right.
Maybe we're right. I think we need to
might
talk
need to
about
make a
God
video
Chipper
on
Chipper.
it.
victim. Chipper.
Chipper victim. Okay, so Moore
Yes, there's a
says,
virus.
"We are a gaming chip and that's what hope." The Whopper,
hmm
the thing Coffee Helpy says is a virus that needs to be destroyed. Was the antivirus going rogue, Maxis? Okay.
Yes.
For context,
Fully
Whopper
agree.
is from the movie War Games, which is it's basically a machine designed to simulate every single scenario that could happen in the Cold War. I watched that movie because I was doing research for a Mexis video like way back when, and with the context of Secret of the Mimic, Whopper is actually very similar because it's something that's just basically just running simulations and then becomes determined to complete a goal no matter what, with Fiona's goal being bring him back, bring back David, and Whopper's goal being win the game being the war. So, like, the protagonist stop Whopper from essentially unleashing every nuke that the US military has, and the protagonist stops Fiona from recreating M2 and recreating David fully by enabling Cradle.exe. That's interesting. Oh, why does God Chipper make sense? Because this all ties
I just
into
think it's because I think it's just because Scott has like 3 guys that he is capable of writing. He's got like 3 stories that he's capable of telling, and he just finds new aesthetics within which to tell these 3 stories about these 3 guys.
So, okay, 2 things. We've got another super chat from Red, thanks a lot. And Morse brought up something very interesting, which I failed to bring up. So Red says that William Afton killed Fiona in a barn. Help Wanted 2 barn is where the fire starts. Fnaf AR Ballora and Golden Freddy are in a barn. Help Wanted has It's Me and the Clown, which we brought up earlier, in a barn. Help Wanted Do Springtrap is the last standing after the fire in the ruins of a barn. Ballora equals Fiona. And William Afton used the Golden Freddy suit to kill her. I disagree completely. You were cooking until those last 2 sentences.
we were rooting for you.
We were. I don't understand that.
I
train of
agree
thought.
conceptually with some things, but what you said simply.
Now, what I want to bring up is, and again, thanks, Red, for sending that money. Very kind of you. Is what Morse said, which was that Whopper was the creator of Whopper. So, in the whole point of the story is that this kid sneaks into the facility. He accidentally, at some point, because he accidentally activated Whopper and made Whopper start simulating a game called War Games. So the kid just starts playing this game on his computer called War Games because he hacked into the government somehow. He starts playing War Games, not realizing that it's Whopper and that Whopper is going to launch all the nukes. So he goes to the facility, he turns it off. The only reason he can turn it off is because he speaks with the creator. And so the creator named Whopper Joshua after his dead son, and his dead son died in a car accident. And so
Let's go.
Whopper is kind of tied a lot to it's like spiritual. It's important to the creator of the machine.
The connections.
So the guy, I forget what the guy from who made Whopper was called. But God, I forgot. By the way, I'm pretty sure the main protagonist is called David. Yeah, the main protagonist is literally called David. Wait, this makes sense. Why does this make sense? I think we need to
because Scott would have totally grown up watching these movies.
Yeah. He grabbed a lot of Secret of the
Clearly.
Mimic from War Games, clearly. I need to see what the name of the creator is called. What the creator who made
Dr.
it.
Stefan Falcon.
Stefan Falcon, yeah.
Clearly, guys, David from the Bible is a parallel.
I mean, like, look at this. You've got the machine that has a goal and will complete it no matter what. And in Moon.exe, it goes, you will bring him back no matter the cost. You've got the guy who made it, who goes into hiding because his son died in a car accident. You've got a guy who's, like, vital to the story, whose name is David. What is this? I like this. This makes sense. I mean,
I love like exploring 80s media that has
tie it,
links
yeah.
to FNAF at
It's
all
so
because
cool.
it's like, of course, like it makes perfect sense that the entertainment that Scott grew up on would find its way, you know what I mean, into his work.
So like I remember thinking like, okay, so War Games is cool. Like I finished watching War Games and I was like, this can't be relevant. Right? Like it's
It's so
cool.
big.
Yeah, I slapped Mexes on the background because I wanted to do a little thing. Bam. Let me tilt it so it looks like we're like interacting with it. Like
Beep, beep, boop, boop.
I remember thinking like, this can't be relevant. It can't. Like it can't be something that actually matters because it's so like separated from everything. It doesn't tie well. But now with Secret of the Mimic, it's as if it does matter. It's as if it is important. We need to we'll need to discuss this more in depth sometime, but we're getting close to our time, so if you guys want to wrap here, that's fine by
Games
me.
theory.
Hey,
Just that's the cliffhanger. So if you want us to
Yeah.
talk more
I'll
about
do a God
how
Chipper stream.
FNAF is War Games,
Uh,
and it's also Smart House, the Disney Channel original movie. Just saying.
okay. I'll need context on that. So
Okay.
this inspires me kind of to make a stream talking about this, talking about how older media inspires modern FNAF. So I want to talk
Let's go.
about, joke or not, I want to talk about God Chipper. I want to talk about God Chipper because I feel
Yes.
like that's relevant and that's an idea I've had for like a month or two by now, and I want to talk more about War Games. But for now,
Let's go.
I think we'll wrap it up here, and I think that'll be the end of the stream. Thanks everyone for coming, and yeah, 2 years of the channel. It's been pretty crazy. It was very
Yay!
cool. Been a cool
They grew
trip.
up so fast.
We passed 10K.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's right,
everybody,
chat.
do
I'm 2
your
years old.
homework before the next stream. You all have to play Chipper and Sons. You all
Research
have
God
to play-
Chipper.
Replay FNAF World. You have to replay. You have to play Desolate Hope if you haven't already. You have to watch War Games.
Listen up,
Everybody-
everyone. Red Circle needs your help. You need to download and buy Chipper's
Chipper and
Friends and
Sons
Sons.
Slumber.
Everyone's coming sense.
Yes.
Buy that. Do all the work. Find every secret in the game and send it to Wizard anonymously, so he can take it and take all the credit for himself.
That's right.
Yeah, don't try to
what
be a
he said.
hero.
Okay. So, thanks everyone.
Thank you for having us.
And thanks everyone for coming. Chat, for the final goodbye, let's everyone just spam God Chipper.
Let's go.
And yeah, thanks everyone for coming.
Chipper.
God Chipper.
Bye, chat.
Bye,
Bye,
chat.
guys.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the theorizing. Been really cool. I will be streaming more. Actually, wait, this is a good opportunity to get to announcements and thingamabobs, so I'll do that. Hold up. Let me move all of you and move myself to the center because I'm so egotistical. Hold up. I'll just make my guy bigger and move you guys somewhere else where you're still visible. Okay, so
Just cover us up, please.
no, I'll just put you off to the side. Okay, so announcements so we can hit the 2-hour mark, and because I've wanted to say some stuff. I will be launching better channel emotes. There will be more details for memberships. Memberships will be better. I'll be making members only videos. So memberships are actually worth now. I will also be reducing the price of memberships. So now it will only be, because I have 2 tiers from now on, there will only be 1 tier where it'll be $1.99 to access all information, all the videos, all the emotes, everything. So everything will be in that one membership. I'll be streaming more because I figured out how to make my internet actually not die. So I figured out a system to get that to work while still being in my room streaming. So more streams. I'll be trying to stream like once a week. We'll be doing more collabs with people like the people who are on today, which thanks for coming again.
No problem.
What else?
Mhm.
I've got videos planned. There's one video that I'm working on now. I don't know if it'll actually happen. I'm not sure, but it's a video that I've been working on for a while, slowly thinking that up, and I will probably be releasing it soon if I get to finishing it. So yeah, basically more streams. I'll be improving channel memberships, making members only content. And yeah, see you guys. Thanks for coming to the stream. And thanks Nervous,
Bye.
thanks Terminal, thanks Draz, and to Loaf and everyone. Bye chat. See ya.